The Walpole High School Robotics team qualified for the 2022 New England District Championship and World Championships in the first robotics competition, adding to its lengthy list of achievements since the team's founding in 2002.
The high school robotics team is made up of about 35 students that are all the grade levels, freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And each year, this group of hardworking students have to come up with a brand new robot that can be designed to play a brand new game or challenge. So they have to try and think about what kind of mechanisms they'll need to use to grab a different game piece. They'll have to try and figure out, how do I wire this robot to get power and data to and from. They'll have to figure out how to program that robot to respond and drive around. And they'll also have to just come up with strategies to try and play the game as effectively as possible. You determine what the robot has to do the first Saturday of January, and then they have until February school vacation week to finish building their robot. So in that 6 weeks, they go from be able to pick up an oversized tennis ball, shoot it 10 feet in the air, and climb monkey bars. And then they have to take that, prototype it, build it, and get ready to compete with it throughout March to then get into this championship phase in April. So it's just really incredible to watch what you kind of can do in such a short period of time. The students all work on different kind of skills. So some of our students will do computer-aided design. So they'll work on a computer design, a 3D model of the different parts and see how they interact and where cuts need to be made or what tolerances need to be used to come up with it. Once they have designed the parts, they'll then use our different machines that we have in-house to cut out and actually fabricate the parts or 3D print the parts. And then once that's done, our students will have to program the robot. We'll use Java to program our robot there. And then for match strategy, we have a robust data analytics system as well. So the students build smartphone applications to track data. They'll use MySQL to gather up all that information, and then they'll do kind of data science and come up with graphs and charts to figure out which robots synergize the best with our robot.
What can you tell me about those competitions that they participated in?
Yeah, absolutely. So our team is based in the New England district, and so what we'll do is we'll play off against the other teams in the local area. So there's about 185 teams in New England, and everybody will play off against each other once there to try and seed where everyone gets ranked based off how well your robot is technically built, how strong your community outreach program is, and your performance on the field. And concluding all those rankings, the teams in the top 80 then get to compete against each other at the New England Championships to crown a local champion, and the top 16 will move on to the World Championship to play off against teams from other parts of the world. So we'll play against winners of the Mid-Atlantic Division, Upper Midwest, West Coast, Southeast, but we'll also play against teams from Israel, China, Japan, Mexico, Denmark, the UK, different, kind of all over the world there. So it's really exciting to see all these high school students from around the world all kind of get the same challenge every year, come up with different ways of solving it, some more effective than others, and then kind of get to play off against each other and see who the best of the best are.
I have to say one of my favorite things about being on the robotics team is the way that I'm able to connect with other people on a design process. Starting off at the beginning of the year, what we do is we start out all together in this big room and we go over just the game manual for the year so that all of us have a really clear-cut understanding of what's going on in the game and how we actually play it. And then after that, we go into this deep dive of different types of robots that we can be seen in a game and what type of robot we want to be. And I just think it's just a really fun, interesting process and really collaborative. From the beginning of the year, our season usually starts around a little bit near the end of September after school starts, when kids can really start joining clubs. And during that time, we don't know what the game of the year is. That's released at the 1st of January or that first week. So what we spend during that time is it's kind of we call it our training season, when upperclassmen and mentors on the team are able to work with upcoming and new students who may not have been on the team before. Through that, there's online lessons that we can take. You learn about CAD, there's shop safety and learning how to use all the tools in the shop, and you can kind of jump around to whatever you want. You can go to electronics and stuff like that. After that, once we get through that season and finally get to when the game is revealed, we go into a session of getting the game manual. So it's kind of funny, when the game gets released, there's this like really long, lengthy password that you need to use that holds all of the rules for the game, along with the setup for the game, the situation, the timing of different things. And once we gain access to that, we go over it all as a team so that then we can all understand and have a really in-depth understanding of how the game is played and how it all works together. From there, we all also come together a multitude of times, and we compile an idea of the different types of robots that we may see during the game. Robots who may not be able to do anything to robots who can do everything, and all the ones in between and all of that. After that, we decide what type of robot we want to be. And then we go through the process of prototyping different situations and different systems that we think will definitely benefit us. And this happens over and over and over again because you can never not have enough prototyping. And after that, we implement our favorite designs and put it all into one robot.
We have a lot of different people working in these tiny little groups on their own specific and specialized groups. So we have a few people working on the climber, a few people working on the indexer, a few people working on the shooter, a small group of people working on programming, and all of those groups are working for the entirety of the time on those things, and they learn as much as they can about them, so they're able to create them and work together with each other to build them in a very timely manner. And then all of those groups can come together at the end and make this robot. So I think the cohesion that we had throughout the entire year was definitely something that helped us build this robot in a very timely fashion and in a very quality manner. And it's allowed us to get a very sturdy and robust robot for this year that we can use in all of these competitions and not have to worry about it falling apart in the middle of a match because it stays together so well. This year, two of the main parts of the game were shooting and climbing. So we focused a lot of our efforts for our robot on being able to shoot the balls high in the air using an arc with some flywheel shooters, picking up balls off the ground since they're going to scatter around the game field using an intake that can sort of just like extend out and just pick them up. And then climb up the monkey bars at the end of the game. Those were our three major mechanical goals. And I guess from a programming standpoint, I can talk about some of our goals in programming this year. And one of those was being able to move our robot a lot smoother in autonomous mode. So the robot itself controls itself and follows a path that we map out before we go into the game. And it can follow that path really accurately so that we can pick up and score balls during a 15-second period at the beginning of the game. That was a major programming focus for us this year. And then I guess another major programming focus was cleaning up and making our code very readable this year because we wanted to make sure that we could help other teams if they needed, and if people needed to look at our code for any reason, we could show them exactly what we had done in an easy-to-read manner.
When the game first came out and the video of like what you should do and how the game's played, we all kind of sat down and just brainstormed for a few days, and we got to prototyping. And after many different iterations of every subsystem, we had a working robot. And when we went to our first competition in North Shore, we did pretty good. We got second place Alliance. And then we repeated the same exact thing a week later at Central Mass in Shrewsbury. We got the second place Alliance as well. And then that just led to us qualifying, along with winning the quality award twice.
I definitely think I learned a lot while being on the robotics team, though it is my first year. So I'm in a field called scouting. So basically I learned how to make an Android app with the use of a language called Java. And on top of that, I learned how to use a lot of cool softwares, including MySQL, which is a database, as well as Tableau, which is like a visualization software. Everyone is really nice here, especially all the mentors. All the mentors are super supportive, and they're 100% dedicated towards getting the best possible outcome. A lot of them aren't teachers, like they have their own lives, their own jobs, yet they like volunteer a lot of their precious time towards helping a lot of students like help develop and grow towards their passion for like STEM, which is amazing.
The preparation and prototyping takes place in the team's workshop, located on the second floor of the Plimpton building.
It's a very conducive and productive environment. So as soon as you walk into the workshop, you feel very determined to get done with the task list you have for that day.
Our workshop it might seem like it has a little bit of limited space. We can't fit the entire field in our room over there, and we have very limited space to put all of our machine shop stuff in here. But I think that our team works really well at keeping us organized so that we can use each one of those machines and use the amount of space that we have here in a manner that allows us to accomplish all of our goals. So we're really good about making sure that we respect the space that we have, that we're really grateful for the space that we have, and we're also really grateful that we can organize it in a way that we can allow other teams to come in and use it as well. So I think our team tries to focus a lot on helping other teams have success in the competitions, because this is a very team-based game. So we want to make sure that we're there for them just as much as they're there for us, and that we're using the space that we have to our fullest capacity.
These students, who have been on the team for their entire high school careers, reflect on their motivations for joining and what they'll take from the experience.
I would say I get to learn different aspects of engineering, such as the construction, the mechanics, putting together the robot parts and subsystems, or even learning about electrical engineering. I did a lot of wiring and motor work, so I think I learned a lot to help me with my major down the road. It kind of prepared me with an engineering mindset and what engineers have to do, the planning process and developing a prototype and watching that go and putting that into action. I'm actually committed to Worcester Polytech Institute, and I plan on studying biomedical engineering. I would say I liked the electrical aspects because the first year I did more shop work, working with the machines and putting parts together, but the last couple of years I've been working with wiring and learning about stuff like the power display panel and other parts of the robot, and also working with motors and transmissions, so it's been a good experience.
I actually was probably going to join my school's dance team, but after coming to the first meeting, I really realized how fun this all actually was, and I just got roped in. The major that I'm going to be studying in the fall is biomedical engineering, and one of the huge pieces of it that I'm really interested in is prosthetics. I'm really interested in prosthetics for just people who have lost limbs and being able to actually integrate it into their nervous system. I just find it all really interesting with the current research out now and what I could be able to apply to that area too.
I wanted to continue doing computer programming in high school in an environment that seemed more of a real-world experience rather than just random projects that I did at home. And I also wanted to learn how to innovate using the engineering design process on a level that was probably going to be a lot more professional than something I would find maybe in the high school classroom or, again, on my own. So those are two of the major reasons why I wanted to join.
What can you tell me about the team's fundraising efforts?
Yeah, so we try and work closely with local businesses to try and find people who can support us either in kind with tools or machining time, or if they have technical mentors who are willing to come and spend their nights and weekends helping teach these high school students how to design and build different mechanisms or program them. We'll work with that, and then we also just kind of reach out to the local community. We'll do a can and bottle drive each year to try and do some recycling. We'll do some yard sales and electronics recyclings. Since we've qualified, we have had some good support come in from local businesses. One of our big sponsors is Analog Devices down the road in Norwood. They wrote us another grant. Earlier in the season, they had got us some tools and 3D printers, so now they're helping cover some of the registration costs for our events. Down the street, we have there's a Legacy Engineering who is run by a parent of a former student on the team, and so they like to help us out. They'll help us review all of our all of our designs from kind of a professional civil engineering point, make sure everything looks sound. Then they also help contribute monetarily there. We have a fundraiser page available on our website, which is walpolerobotics.org. There'll be a link in the upper corner where you can donate to the team. And you can also find that link posted on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages as well.
This place is really a huge community. When I come here, it doesn't really feel like a job like school usually does, even though that this place is really correlated with school. Like, even though we are a team, we're considered a club, but it doesn't really feel like a club to me. It feels almost like another home that I get to come to, and I really get to be independent and feel like my voice is heard in like situations, especially as a girl in STEM. I feel really represented here.
Every time I come in, it's a new experience and new challenges to solve and new programming things to learn about. So it's definitely been one of the most fulfilling engineering and technology experiences that I've ever experienced before. And it's really inspired me to continue doing that in the future as well, and continue researching and looking for new and improved ways of solving problems, especially in computer programming.
I'm really excited to stay on the robotics team for all 4 years of high school, because it's only my first year, but I've already noticed that's a really good and like benefiting like opportunity. Like, I never thought I could learn so much only in the first year, and like such things that you can like practically use outside of just the workshop per se.
The team, it's a very inclusive place. There's always something to do, always something to learn. They're always pushing you to learn more. Like, if you've mastered one thing, all they would say was, cool, now master another. And they want everyone to try their hardest and do their best and just be creative. There's really no wrong answers in robotics.